I'm Bill.
And I'm Candace.
And we're the Disruptors. I'm disrupted.
You're always disrupted.
I'm upset.
Why are you upset?
We have a special guest. We were going to redo the room in here and add just a few family fun things to the walls, and you called me insane.
Yeah, I did.
So,
because you're always wanting a different result, but you like to do the same things over and over and over.
Well, we want to put color in and really jazz the place
up. I'm
good
with color. Matter of fact, there's part of this wall right here that I would like to take out.
Oh, that's wonderful. We can handle that.
Yeah, because nothing says, it just dates it.
Just dates it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, good. What are you going to put there when you take that out? It's going to undate it.
Well, it's concrete, so I would just basically paint it. Texture it and paint it.
Good. So we could put two big eyeballs and a nose and a mouth and everything and have smiley mouth on the wall.
This is October, so, keep speaking horror to us.
Okay, well, we better get to the guest because I can see this could really, really take us off the track of what we're doing. We could.
It could.
Yeah.
It could. Did you wear your costume today?
Yeah, no, I left it at home, but I understand your birthday is coming up the 31st, and I'm very excited about it.
No, I've already had my birthday.
Oh, okay, great. Rhonda, welcome back to the show. We're so excited.
Thank you.
Today we're going to talk about color, something that you really need to talk about, Candace, because the red lines in your eyes that are squiggly, she can explain that red, what it does.
We're not talking about eyes, red in eyes. We're talking about the incredible value of having color in your business and your logo, your printed material, your website.
But all that good stuff.
Yeah. It's influential.
Good.
Right?
It is.
Crazy
Yes.
No,
and on a subconscious level, we don't even know it. There are physiological effects, not just psychological effects.
Did you know that? That's what happened to the bars when you lived behind the bars.
Okay.
He really didn't, but I tease him about living in a cage. Combat zone. I think that's more apropos.
That's nice. We can talk about the black color and all that stuff.
Oh, black and
you
white.
Can explain to the whole general public out here why we have to have an elephant with white stripes.
Because it disrupts normal.
There we go.
Are you new?
Okay, Rhonda, it's your show now. We're done.
So, talk to us about the color of your business card.
Colors. So on my dog, I have yellow and brown, and I chose a softer, more creamy color of yellow, which means I add a little bit more white to it to soften it, and a deeper earthy brown. And then next to it, I've got this really soft, not quite sky blue, but it's a nice soft blue. And those three colors mixed together convey happiness and peace. So yellow by itself, when it's not muted in this way, is the most difficult color for our eyes to process. So it's very energetic. That's why. So that's why you might get a boost of energy if you're surrounded by a whole lot of yellow at once. But when it's muted like this, it becomes calmer. And then when it's surrounded by these earthy and watery tones, it definitely embodies the peace.
Well,
so this is about peace and happiness, which is what I want in my life, what I think I have, and what I want others to have in their life and in their business.
So when we get to, this is really interesting, the colors and the different idea. Everybody seems to be switching to the harsher yellow, especially with the yellow and the black and the outline type deal. Does that inspire people to take more action?
It can. It depends on what the surrounding colors are. But on this particular one that you held up, Bill, it has green in the background and red as the ampersand. And green and red are exact opposite on the color wheel. So they are going to have they're going to have more tension between them visually. And then when you add in the yellow, it certainly creates some excitement. So yeah, that could very well be what they've done here. They were wanting to give you some excitement about their signs and graphics. Yeah.
Well, I see a lot of combinations. A lot of people, you hear about it when we had the big reader board signs, of course, in the old days. But you always notice that usually the signs that really catch your attention as you're driving down the street are usually in yellow.
That's why the caution signs are in yellow. Yeah, for that exact reason. because we pay attention to it because
I'll be darned.
it's so hard to process. But now you don't want so much yellow on like a giant sign on the interstate that's telling you exit this way for A Street and this way for 15th. You know, you don't want that in yellow because you'll have way too many car accidents.
I'll be darned. That's interesting, Candace. You should have an elephant with yellow stripes then.
No,
No? Okay.
no, black and white.
But you know, we've got red on our stop signs, and we have conditioned ourselves that red means stop. But red means stop in the American culture. What might it mean in other cultures? So color is very culture centric as far as its associations. So what it means.
So what it means.
Yeah. And so red, let's talk about red.
Yeah.
You said it means stop, right? But it also can convey passion. Well, passion
Like
can
passion.
be sexual passion, but it can also be anger, which is passion, but it's, you know, different direction, right?
Sure.
So it's the context in which color is used affects the meaning that the viewer will derive from it. Plus their own experiences, their own culture. So somebody who's perhaps immigrated here from a completely different culture, say somewhere in the South Pacific, they may have very different ideas of what red means. For example, here we associate black with mourning, right?
Right.
Yes.
But in some of the Asian cultures, white is associated with mourning. So when we,
Wow.
as a designer, I'm American. I live and grew up in America, so I can really design well and thoughtfully for an American business. When I design for businesses or agencies outside the U.S., I really have to do some research on that culture to know what those colors might mean.
Oh, I'll be darned.
How did you ever know that?
I didn't. You know, I always thought red's red, black's black, no matter where
Well, and
you're
then
at.
there's so many different color variations,
Right.
and then combinations of putting those colors together. How do they tell a story?
Well, in their context. So color, when you apply it to text or an image, it's obviously going to influence the meaning. So if you're trying to tell me, Rhonda, I have this really great scene in this movie that I'm shooting, and I really want people to feel the passion of the couple that's in there. They're in love. It was unrequited love until recently, and I really want people to feel that. So we might say, okay, let's put some warm tones on there and transition into redder tones. So we might start with some deeper yellows to really give it some warmth, and then transition into red so that you can then feel the passion, so it would build on each other. Is that answering your question?
You know, one of the things you brought up, a great point, because I remember, and even to this day, you've got lots of bedroom sets that are into those burgundies or burgundies and gold,
yeah,
or
burgundy
burgundies
gold
and
or-
blacks and burgundy. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, so if you're looking for, you know, or heavy pinks, or, you know, like burnt oranges, or, I mean, it's fascinating psychologically, you know. And when they did the tests, one of the things that they did find out, I was reading an article that when the hospitals, and so they would paint different rooms, different colors. This is obviously elementary in their journey of what colors mean, but they noticed that rooms that had, I think it was red and yellow, when they did that, there were more arguments. There was less resolve.
Yeah.
And so I just thought that was really fascinating. And so when we were looking at what, in your home, what colors would you like to, and a business is not much different, right? So,
Right, someplace you want to feel comfortable being around. Now, some people have more energy, so some people can tolerate more active colors. My home is the color on my business cards. You know, we've got lots of browns, yellows, and blues.
And blue. Oh. I have early American, whatever it might have been when the sale was going on.
So what do pinks say?
Yes.
Well, it depends on the shade and tint of pink,
Okay.
because it can be closer and warmer to red, or it can be lighter and closer to white or gray. But you know, in our culture, we associate pink with girly, right, or bubblegum. So
Sure.
it's also youthful. I believe in that same study that you're referring to, they figured that they may have found that pink was like the magic color. I think we need to Google that when we're done, because I think there was like a Sherwin-Williams pink or something, some paint brand that they had come up with that this is the color that we figured out. It keeps people calm.
Well, didn't they do, Washington State Department of Corrections did they not, a test a few years ago on painting the cells different colors and the overhauls, because they found that certain colors affected the inmates and kept them calmer, less agitated.
Oh, that's interesting. That would be a great place to do the study, right? Because
absolutely.
Yeah, they've already got some kind of
Hostility
intense emotion,
and,
whether it's sadness or anger or something else. They're already really amped up, so they do need more than us something color and something else that can calm them so they can be more normalized.
I know that when we did, we worked on a dementia. When I worked with a nursing facility, and we worked on a dementia wing, and so we painted in the shower a scenario, and the colors were strategically picked out, and it was with wisteria and greens, and so it was a warm environment. And even with they couldn't tell you what day it is or what, they didn't have it because dementia,
right?
But excuse me, one of the things that I would always hear that would come back is the individuals would go, oh my gosh, oh, look at the flowers. They would recognize, oh, it's springtime. It might be, Christmas time or whatever, but they always, oh, look at how beautiful. It resonated with them, and how important that environment was, because they're already in an agitated state.
Yeah, and so it wasn't just the color either. It was the shapes, because those were something recognizable, right? I even, I had read a study about the importance of nature in the workplace, especially in hospitals. And it was so funny because shortly after I read that study, I'm walking through the halls at Madigan, and I see that they've lined with some kind of wallpaper down this one hall. On both sides, they've got a nature scene. Wow. So they've got lots of grass, which is really key, especially for here when it stays so dark during the winter and it's so rainy. We tend to get depressed because we don't see the blue sky. We don't see the bright sun, even though it does come out, believe it or not. But we can see the greenness that the light would create, even though it's just on wallpaper, that has an influence on us, and it's calming.
So how do you work with your clients and color? Let's say they've got a lousy color in their logo. Talk to us about that, because people can get really personal about their logo.
They can.
And it's like, why are we personal? How does color? Because I have this other question. How does color help a business reach to their potential?
Right.
Okay. Well, so on one mutual client that we have, we were working on a brand, and the idea is to have it be an upscale brand, right? So when we talked early on with this client, we discussed having a monochrome palette, which means shades of one color, tints of one color. And a shade means if I have blue and I choose a darker shade, it means I'm adding more black to shade it. When I say tint, I'm adding more white to lighten it. But you have variations of the shade and tint of that blue color, for example. And the monochromatic palette is associated with higher end brands. Okay. They don't need, it's like the old saying, which I'm going to butcher completely right now. But,
okay. Butcher away.
But there's an old saying that that wealth whispers. Mm-hmm. And so
I like that actually.
That's pretty good, isn't it?
Wealth whispers.
Yeah, there's something that comes before that about people who are rich and they scream or something like that. I don't know, but money screams and wealth whispers or something like that. And that's really how I can relate the monochromatic palette to you, because there's not one color that's just jumping out and screaming at you. It's soft because they don't have to be. They don't have to scream at you. They already know their value.
That kind of goes into less is more.
Yes.
Whenever you're looking at, from clothing to cars to, the different ad campaigns that you're putting together, which of course color is strategic and key.